Welcome back, affiliated listeners. We have a very exciting and a very bittersweet episode today because, gosh, it is Kyle Kostechka's last podcast with us here as a co-host, which,
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, first of all, how dare you?
How dare I? What is the question that Kelly Kapoor asked Michael in the office? Or Ryan, it's like, I have a question for you. Like, how dare you?
That's the best delivery. But no, I think like I told the team, it's very bittersweet because obviously you're moving on to new pastures. That I'm very excited for you in that role. And that is very bitter that we're going to lose you, especially with your impact here on the podcast. But also it's sweet because I think it's a testament to the personal brand you've built here at ClickBank, the impact you've had, the career trajectory you've been able to build for yourself. That's something I personally am always looking at when my own career is like, what am I getting out of this beyond monetary compensation, right? Mm-hmm. It's this ability to kind of keep moving onwards and upwards. So, no, it's I think it's very cool that you can leave on good terms and on your own terms and move on to something you're excited about.
Very much so. And yeah, it is definitely bittersweet. It's one of these things I was looking back and I saw even my employee profile at the time, like when I first got hired, and it's been 9 years since that time frame. And what's crazy is like I haven't been in any job that long, which might be a problem with me. Or I think probably the big thing is it becomes a big part of your identity. You do anything for 9 years, it's weird to decouple from that and not feel like this loss of something. But the great thing is a loss of something is an invitation to bring something else in. And through that, we get that growth. So super, super exciting. And I will say, I think the thing I'm going to miss the most outside of the people that you get to interact with is this podcast. This has been one of the absolute coolest things about my job. And I love the most. And I've loved learning to start from, I think, a pretty rough spot to feeling like I got pretty good at interviewing people and doing this whole thing. And Dylan even gave me the chance to do a monologue episode, which I'd been wondering if I could even do, which was probably a crazy thing to think that I would think it'd be challenging for me to talk for 30 minutes uninterrupted. But
if you haven't listened to the last episode, which is just solo Kyle riffing on who knows what. I haven't listened to it yet. I know what. But go check it out. Let us know what you think about it.
Yes, because it'll never happen again. So, but yeah, no, it's been amazing. And, especially being able to have a co-host with you. It's crazy. We've been doing this for 3 years now? 4 years?
Over 200 episodes.
Yeah, that's a long time with another person. So
too long.
Obviously so.
Is that why you're moving on?
Yes, this is all motivated. It's like I need to talk to another person. But no, it's really good. And I think one of the coolest things, and I shouted out, I think in actually the last interview I did, which is earlier this week, it was a mutual person we know, Matthew Novak, that reached out and mentioned the show that are dynamic. And I think the way we play off each other, and it's awesome. Like there's a lot of podcasts that spend years and don't accomplish that. I think what we've been able to do, and I think it's really awesome. I'm going to miss a ton of it. So.
No, same, man. And then I did want to gas you up a little bit here because I was just going back through some stats because that's always in sales. We collect a lot of stats and things like that over the years. And this is, I'd say, not indicative of your whole impact because we've had data servers move around, historical stuff gets murky, but unequivocally, your portfolio, you've generated over $100 million to ClickBank's platform with the clients you brought on.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, as a business development manager, which doesn't, what I think that doesn't touch, right? Over $100 million is impressive in itself, right?
Yeah.
And what that doesn't show is all the clients you've impacted that aren't in that portfolio, right? I've seen you so willing to hop on basically free consultation calls with clients to help them fix their funnels. You're one of the most willing people I've seen to jump in and build email decks for people, just like kind of whatever it needs to take to help them get to the next level. You're jumping in and helping them out, regardless if they're quote unquote your client and directly monetarily benefit you or not. The rising tide you have is really impressive.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And I think that feels really exciting. It's something too I realized over this past year is I started looking back and kind of looking and being like, whoa, like I feel like I didn't impacted trends we've seen in our business with things before, which is pretty cool and something I'm really proud of. And it's funny, as you say that, definitely something different about me. I'm probably not as monetarily focused as most salespeople are, which is a weird thing to probably hear and say, but it's indicative of the way that I've ran my portfolio and always worked at ClickBank because I think I get the thrill of I don't know, being right about things or setting a strategy forth and maximizing something. And I found that money followed the more I pursued that. I didn't necessarily need to, you know, I think oftentimes break it down to a certain thing and kind of refine it to this metric and that. And I've done that in past jobs and positions in the past. But one of the things I love about ClickBank is I didn't have to do that. I could kind of play in the playground of marketing. And when I did that and did it a lot, it seemed to work out monetarily. So, and as we could see, 9 figures would suggest that. So, no, that's really exciting and cool to think about.
Yeah, that's really exciting. What?
So the next 100 million will be even better, though. That's gonna be even more fun.
Exactly. And that's across less than 100 clients, right? Just counting towards that number, which is a pretty impressive. Yeah, just like concentration, I guess, if you will. Like how impactful you've been with that client portfolio, because we know the Pareto principle applies and things scale in interesting ways here. I'm curious, what are some things over the last 9 years at ClickBank that have really surprised you? Does anything jump out from any time of that range? Yeah.
You know, I think one thing that really surprised me a ton, and this, I hope this doesn't sound negative as I say it, but I think for anybody, the most brilliant people that you might look at and think that they're untouchable this, they're untouchable that, or, you know, that you're miles away from where you want to be. Most of that's a fiction in your head. Like, I think the distance between greatness and what we might seem as somebody that's average or aspiring is not as monumental as you might think. And so much of it is just doing it. Just try. Boldness matters a lot more than brilliance in the world of business. And I think that really surprised me. It's something I've really learned. And I try and emphasize to people so much that a lot of entrepreneurs, even at the highest level, I'm not just talking like our top clients, but I've had a chance through this business to meet people that are successful well beyond anything our best clients have done. And the biggest thing I've learned is where some of them are. Yes, I've met some people that are like, whoa, like you're just too smart. But a lot of them, it's not the intelligence, it's the boldness and the willingness to say that it's going to fail and I'm going to try again. And I'm bold enough to do. And that's actually what matters so much more, and not even just business, but I would say in life. I've met some really brilliant people that work at like gas stations because they're so terrified to do. And so I think it's just one of the things that I know it's made me get a lot better in life. And I think it's even led to this, you know, transition today is realizing that, man, there's nothing really holding you back except for yourself. So just step into it and try. And that doesn't mean burn all your bridges and, you know, be insane. But like, even if it's just starting with writing an email today, to make an ad today, or stop buying courses and just create something instead, like, that is a much shorter distance between being super, super successful and super not, is just starting with that boldness to try. And it really took me off guard. That was one thing that surprised me quite a bit.
How much do you think luck is involved in any of this kind of success?
You know, what is it? They say like luck is just when skill meets preparation, right? Like I think it's a timing thing. And I think I've studied enough business to know that luck is inevitable for everybody. That's the big thing. So I think luck plays a role.
Probably good or bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Luck is chaos, and chaos is fair. So it means you're going to get bad luck and good luck in equal measure. And the real thing is recognizing what luck is and taking advantage of it. But like the difference there is that you're always working in preparation for that to come. And then when it is lucky, you know it's lucky, so you treat it as such. So that's one thing I think I've seen a lot over this time frame is there's a lot of people that recognize their luck, and other people like mix it with skill. And that's when I think luck becomes a detriment to you, because now you're like, oh, you didn't recognize that you might have been skilled, but you also had very, very lucky timing. And so you assume that these things are the same. And next thing you know, you go and just try and replicate it. You don't understand that piece. And we see people kind of be a flash in the pan. Hey, I had this really, really good thing. I didn't really understand that I just kind of got lucky and some good timing. And they invested like it was just going to happen every single time, over and over and over again, which really surprised me. This is one of the things I think I oftentimes would mistake people's luck for skill as well.
Yeah, it's hard to...
Especially early on.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have a lot of, I think, breadth of time and experience or wisdom, it's easy to confuse the two because you don't see when somebody just hit really good timing, and you can't recognize that they might have fumbled into it. And that's not a bad thing. Like there's a level of, even if you look at some of the largest and biggest entrepreneurs in the world, they also had a level of luck that allowed them to get there. You could even if you look at Elon Musk, like when they're in Peer Theater, when they're making PayPal, yes, they had foresight, but they also had luck and timing, right? They happened to be the right people, the right place with the right idea at the right time. And then their skills got them to be very, very successful. So I just think that was one thing I've really recognized. And I always think of the Perry Belcher thing. This is one of the first things he ever told me too, after a very inappropriate joke, which I know saying this, Perry would just laugh about that. So that's why I could say it openly, but.
So any Perry Belcher.
But as he had said, like, hey, when you get something good, treat it like it's never going to happen again and behave that way. And I think it's one of the best things that I've learned, and everyone should learn. When it's good, expect it and treat it like it's never going to happen again. And you'll be much happier and better off for it.
How do you see that manifest in like one of our clients' businesses?
Yeah. So let's say you hit the offer, and it's like you had a perfect bit of copy, perfect market message at the perfect time, and you maybe were first on it. I'll give you an example. Like Research is a good example of this. They had the perfect time with the perfect offer. They had a different type of angle, and it just exploded. So in terms of assuming that that's never going to happen again, it's what you do to reinvest back in the business. You double down on growth as fast and as much as humanly possible. And when you think of growth, don't think of it just in terms of top line revenue. I think you think about it in terms of what is the inelastic asset that I could build that's going to make this period of luck last for a really long time. So that's probably not leasing a Lambo or buying a home with a mortgage that is going to require you to sustain this level of profitability to keep in. It's things like I'm going to invest in the customer list and keeping that warm and develop, or I'm going to take the cash it produces it and put into investments and resources that are going to create more stable revenue or stable growth over time. And you ask yourself, not necessarily like, hey, hyper growth, but hyper growth for stability and some sort of goal, or reinvesting into another business or reinvesting back into your business to create it to be bigger and stronger. So it's likely to replicate whatever that success is. So then it's not to say like luck can strike more than once, right? Timing could strike more than once, particularly in our industry. Are you taking that success and reinvesting to make sure that you have really solid operations, really, really great financial statements, that you got that all in line? So you could keep humming along and making sure that when luck strikes again, it's going to be even bigger and better than last time.
Yeah.
Right. But that's really what I've learned is just it depends on what you want and where you are. But just if you have that, you're going to think very differently because you're remembering the revenue scale you're at right now is a short window. So you're going to use those dollars differently.
That makes sense. Yeah. You say that, I kind of think of like what led to the luck too. Like what were the actions you were doing, not just what happened, right? And it's like, how can that be replicatable? And I think we've seen it with a lot of clients. Many times it might not be you have to do all those things, but how do you make sure that more of that keeps happening that led to that good result? And that's where the hiring comes into, or process, or AI now, right? So it's like, how do you backfill yourself so you can increase your chances of that happening again?
Totally. Well, I guess the way I put it is like, just be self-reflective. I wouldn't say that's something I learned. That's just who I am. I don't know how not to be self-reflective. I'm confused that I did not know that people don't like dissect every interaction they have with a person and like think about, different scenarios. If it went this way, how would it have sounded? Or just self-reflective on actions and situations and history and all these things. I just assumed that was just normal, but it's not. I found that's not a normal thing. My therapist said stop. No, just kidding. But yeah, I think being self-reflective, it's weird because that's probably not a great trait to have as an entrepreneur sometimes, right? Like, because self-reflection is hard to be bold sometimes.
Right. Yeah. To me, that sounds like you're going to be anxious, right, about that. Either what happened or what you're going to do wrong, right? Some of those things.
Yeah. And I think there's a balance. I don't even think anxiety. Yeah. I think I just find it really entertaining to think through in-depth what ifs, not as a place of worry, but as a way of like, I don't know, like fun daydreaming, like what if, right? So, but like, again, I think that also takes a lot of time, and it takes I have a problem with needing too much context to move forward.
Oh, really? That's not what I would say about you. Just looking at, like, just having worked with you for 9 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds weird, right? But like when I say context, it's like I want to understand the history of that market deeply, so I
Okay.
could relay it to something that helps me understand. Like, okay, so if this is where this industry has been, and this is where it is, does that help me understand where it could be going? I really, really value the idea of a predictive future. So for me, self-reflection is kind of a part of that. You have to really understand yourself, your position, then understand other people's positions, then understand history to then forecast where that goes. But that takes a lot of thinking, right?
It does. How do you go, like, when you're looking at a market like that, like, how do you go find that context?
Well, it kind of depends. But I like to try and find parallels of things that seem and feel similar. So where can I find historical models that I'm aware of, or historical business cases that make sense? So I'm always trying to build it back to core businesses. Like even when I jumped into this world, I didn't understand it first. I was like, what the hell is this stuff? Yeah. So it took for me, even when I was learning a funnel, I actually looked at it as a supply chain model with throughput and product production because I understood that. Like that's something I did know. So I'm like, how is this similar? And so like one of the first things I would do when I looked at funnel and like the operations of our business, I actually drove it back to the book, The Goal, which is a manufacturing book. It's a supply chain management book. But it had these concepts that I'm like, I understand this through every single business. So if I could drive it back to that, then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And then from there, if I understand that, I could then pair that with other historical, business cases or historic rises of other enterprises or industries. Like I like to look at our source, like our market is very similar to the early days of Silicon Valley, where you had essentially very open markets where it was very wild, it was very unregulated. There's a lot of grabs for attention. So sometimes you could see a lot of behavior that's similar in the rise of early tech and what we see in like online marketing. I know that sounds crazy, but then that also helps you say, okay, you could recognize when somebody's succeeding or the types of individuals. Because if I study these types of individuals over here and I could see them over here, now you start to have things make a little more sense. And then the other thing I do is I just ask a shit ton of questions and try and learn so much about the people that are in there and just really learn on a core level. And so I'm just a very open student at all times. So then I get a lot of that context of what they know and what do they know about the past. One thing that I've always done, and this is a curiosity thing, but it helps me out a lot, is when I jump into a new industry, I'm learning about something, I try and find somebody that does know about it, and I ask them about all the lore. What's the folklore? What are the stories? You could learn a lot about learning about the times of old. Remember when? If you aren't asking people about the remember when stories in an industry, and you are missing out on so much valuable information. Because we hear it all the time. I guarantee you there's a lot of people that are experiencing what's going on right now, and I would say the direct response markets, and it feels insane. They're like, this is crazy. You haven't asked enough remember when questions with people around you, because you'll find that a lot of what's happening right now isn't that unfamiliar. It's somebody else's remember when. So if you go back to enough remember whens, you're going to learn a lot about what happened, the dip that occurred afterwards, the change, the shift, the people that grew really big and the people that were really big, right? You start to see these differences in these cycles. So those are kind of the things that I do. And then outside that, it's just probably studying human behavior. And I don't know. I even think you could learn a ton through fiction. Fiction tends to parallel a lot of what we do. Dune could teach you a shit ton about
or Dungeon
economics.
Crawler Carl.
Or yes.
We've been
Dungeon Crawler Carl,
binging nonstop.
Which for whatever reason, I struggle to say. I instantly lose my enunciation. Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's just very challenging.
Which if you have no idea what you're talking about, you need to stop listening to any business podcast and just go download those audiobooks or Kindle books and just
if you've ever played any first-person like role-playing game and liked it, you will love these books. They are so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's like the best fan fiction you could ever imagine.
Yeah. Sci-fi capitalistic society wrapped
it's
in.
So good. It's so
role-playing
good.
Game. Oh, it's great.
Yes. And with the funniest characters.
So absurd.
Just Donut the cat. Princess Donut the cat is just so funny. I just love it so much. But yeah, for me, I think I'm probably heavy on context. But again, like these things, you just have to know some level of self-reflection is really valuable. And the last thing I'd say is like, even if it's a bare minimum of knowing what you do well and what you don't do well and how that relates to your business at a very base level will make you infinitely more successful and probably an infinitely happier person if you could do those things.
What are the remember whens you've been talking about lately with people?
Well, I think a lot of it is any late stage big shift in an industry, right? So the remember whens, well, one that I think about a lot actually is we go back to Google SEO or the early days of email or the first times when these markets felt so new. And why that's significant to me is if you look at the pandemic, what we saw was a huge evacuation of the market, of people that were normally buying in this market of paid media, with a mass introduction of brand new eyeballs that were seeing it for the first time. And so when I thought, what's a remember when that would be very similar to that? Well, probably when Meta first started doing ads for the first time. Back when Google was easy as just like, oh, I could do SEO by doing these very basic things. And a lot of people had no idea this existed. Or when you hear people talk about email, it was just so easy. And they always remember when it was so easy and I could just do this thing and money just stuck to the wall. And I was like, woo. And then I think it was Panda came out. Was it Panda?
Oh gosh,
Was the update?
There's Penguin, there's Panda, there's Hummingbird.
Yeah, all the delightful like exotic animals in the zoo that ruined people's lives.
Panda destroyed my business.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny? My exposure to that was I worked at call centers when that happened, and all of a sudden these people that made a ton of money online were working at call centers, and I was there. I was managing them. And so it was really interesting because I got the flip side of the people that like thought everything was so good and it was always going to be that way until they were broken and sitting in my call center and now having to convince people to keep their HBO. It was also them and mortgage brokers after 2000, the '08 crash, and real estate agents and people that
a lot of new affiliates came into the scene when after '08.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like it was interesting because again I was really curious and so I always got to see that side, but it reminds me a lot of what we're experiencing now.
Yeah.
Because there's still some people that have taken, and there's some other blends that are different here. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but we saw a period where something felt so easy and it was just like printing money until it wasn't, because a bunch of other people entered into it. The networks realizes people realize like, hey, we could make more money off doing this and we should stop letting people make as much money as they are. And things change and it gets harder. And all of a sudden those challenges, as I say, it kind of strips out. You see two things happen. Either things get more aggressive because there's an incentive to do that, or you have to be that much better, or sometimes it's both. And I think that really marries a lot of what we're seeing right now. You either have to get out or it's going to take a lot more things to compete in the market that we have. And so these are things that, and I would say there's other examples that happen, but if we want to just go really back, that's the one that kind of pops up in my mind. It's very, very similar. And you could learn a lot from the exact things that people did back then to be successful for what we're experiencing right now.
Makes a ton of sense. Yeah. What do you wish people knew more about ClickBank? Like from the outside looking in, I think we have a unique perspective.
What people?
I guess there's a lot of misconceptions about ClickBank, or a lot of assumptions about in just the market, right? And kind of our general sphere of people. I think we, on the business development team, kind of ride the line between internal and external quite a bit. We have to do a lot of internal selling to our teams to explain what our clients even do. We have to do a lot of external selling, right, to the people out there in the market that think ClickBank is one thing or another. Like, just what are some of those like, oh yeah, I kind of wish people realize that ClickBank is X, or that,
Yeah, that's a great question. I was just saying it would change if it was like, what would we wish people like my grandma knew about ClickBank? That's probably a different one. But I'd say for people in the market and people that are online, I think to remember that ClickBank is a resource and a tool, not as narrowly defined as we like to make it. So what I mean by that is essentially we take people that have traffic and people that have products and can very easily connect them together in a scalable way, so you don't have to worry about all the logistics that make that really, really hard. There's a ton of fail points. And honestly, when you're growing and building your business, you're most likely not good at a lot of the things that are going to make affiliate marketing really hard. It's not marketing. It's not relationships. It's probably you're really bad at operations, cash flow management. And most likely the things that made you successful and even get to the point that any of this stuff mattered is why you're not good at those things. And so I think this is actually something where I would say oftentimes we look at this as selling supplements and doing performance media buying. That's what ClickBank is. It's a place for just that. Not at all. In fact, it shouldn't be defined that way. And I think if we thought about that more openly, we could get a lot more creative with some of the tools that ClickBank has. We monetize influence and create distribution for people that have products. That's really, really broadly defined, but we do it incredibly well. So whether you're somebody that, listen, I think I brought this up before, there's a way that clickbank could be valuable if you have influence over people that have influence. That's a really broad category, right? What if I taught a bunch of coaches? I could use our JV program to do second tier affiliate referrals and basically be a qualified force to say, hey, we'll use Pulsetto as an example because I brought the product on. So obviously I like it and believe it in a lot of ways. And it is fantastic. But if I coach a bunch of coaches that are helping people achieve new levels in maybe health, wealth, stress, whatever it might be, Pulsetto could be a very, very cool tool and resource for a lot of my coaches to sell to other people. That means I have a lot of power and authority. What if I use ClickBank system, do a second tier like JV referral system to teach all those coaches how to sell Pulsetto, and I get a percentage for every bit of success they have? That materially changes the way I run my business. It gives me a new revenue source that could be incredibly beneficial from a monetary standpoint. And I just empower all my coaches in a new way for them to make money that helps this brand that probably doesn't have exposure to these coaches and never will, because you have to spend a ton of money to do CPMs. Now, if we thought of ClickBank as just a place to get a lot of really great offers and VSL offers for supplements and affiliates that drive that type of traffic, well, it would never seem possible to do something like that. But it's entirely possible, and it's right there in front of our hands. So I challenge everybody to stop thinking about ClickBank in the way that you know it and realize that it's just a resource of connection. And people like you, everyone on the team, we're out there to build networks and find connections to make your business more valuable. So if you bring new ideas to business or your new businesses and you want to bring these other folks in there, we can facilitate to make your life easier. And that's all we're actually doing. So just don't put us in this narrow box. I know it's what we know, and so we've known for a long, long time. But I would encourage everybody to just think outside of that and realize that it's software with people. Like that's a lot more broad and could do a lot more impactful things. And as you know, I'm a bit of a mad scientist, which Dylan had fun filming me as one. But it's fun to get creative and think of different ways that you could utilize that.
I think of some of our longest running clients, and maybe not necessarily the highest volume clients, the longest running clients historically. And a lot of them use ClickBank in ways that people are kind of surprised by. Some is just straight up merchant processing because they don't want to deal with bouncing mids, or because they don't want to deal with local tax remittance, which is a whole thing, especially as you get going and have to pay each state and all this kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of friction points that a platform like ClickBank frees up. That's just like, oh, I remember my wife was standing up a business on the digital course side of things, looking at all these options. And it's like, wow, you have to plug in a lot of tools just to handle like the back end stuff that ClickBank does, let alone all the front end tools you kind of need for funnel building, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's like, gosh, just like the tax remittance and the tracking and the payouts. It's like, geez, okay, yeah.
Not having to be a bookkeeper and pay people is awesome.
Just wholesale.
It's freaking awesome, right? It really is. Like, how much, because you screw up one thing, do you really want that email? Do you really want to be like, whoops, I didn't pay somebody when you wanted to? Like, it's just such a hassle. So yes, it's a very broad definition, and it could be a huge resource to so many people and businesses, and they don't even know about it. Yeah.
I do want to go back to one of the first podcast episodes that I think I was sitting right over there. You were interviewing Josh Valencia.
Yes. Yes.
And this is one of my favorite questions you ever asked. You only asked it once. I don't know why.
It could have been the reaction of everyone in the room.
Essentially, it was something along the lines of, what was it exactly? It was, would you and how would you ever consume human flesh?
So I know the specific question because it's burned in my memory. And I'm curious if you remember that the preceding reason this question existed is we were in the break room.
Yes, I don't know exactly why.
Yes, and you were I think you even brought it up.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, so, which is, if you could humanely eat human meat, would you? And the example, just to give you guys an example, this wasn't unfounded. This has occurred. Yeah. In a humane way, there's a man that had to amputate his foot. Yes. I don't know I think this is where this came up. Yeah. And he ended up like cooking it and sharing it with his friends.
Yeah, and like tacos or something.
Yeah, which is just bizarre, but I guess that's a friendship I need to find in my life. Right? I don't know if I have a foot friend yet, but that does sound like a different friend. I want to rephrase that.
Foot friend.
I don't know if I'm gonna go to Foot Finder. Like, I thought this would be a different website. So, where can I find the way to eat food or feet? But yeah, the idea is if you could humanely eat human, we would try
Obviously,
it. And we as foodies, I thought, that's why I thought of for Josh, because Josh is a fellow foodie.
Yeah.
The only people I could think of in my life that aren't sadistic weirdos would be foodies that would be like, well, I'm curious. Like, what is a meat non-human related that you've tried that we just tried out of pure curiosity that was very bizarre?
Like python, I guess, or like anaconda or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
the predators
anacondas,
are always
python.
good to try. Now I'm trying to think the weirdest thing
Bear?
that I've tried. Bear. What is the weirdest meat that I had?
Cougar.
I've had bear. Wolf. Wolf was probably the most
that's out
obscure.
there. Yeah.
Some wolf stew, which is not that great. Wolf does not taste
Predator meat is.
Yeah,
not
yeah,
usually the best.
it's which, and there's actually cultural things that's supposed to be bad.
Yeah.
You don't eat animals that eat animals. But then I feel like it makes me stronger.
Right?
It doesn't
Yeah,
taste good,
yeah.
but I'm becoming ultra.
Eat a shark.
Yeah, bear also tastes very gross.
I'm watching Josh try to navigate that question when he's
Yeah.
like, I'm on this business podcast with my buddies. Who
I know.
It's like, oh no, what? Like,
Yes. And the context is I wanted to find a funny way to disarm people to make them comfortable for questions. And I was
definitely
like,
just footed him. Yeah.
yes, I did. I really took his footing up from underneath him. That's true. And so is it going to be this concept that I quickly bailed on and said this was a bad idea. Thank God it wasn't Robbie Blanchard as the first person to test this on, because that was our next interview.
Yes, yeah.
And I quickly was like, nope, not doing that. So,
Give you legs of cut teeth.
yes, legs of cut teeth, the best phrase. Didn't we turn that into a shirt or something?
I think that was the idea.
That was the idea.
Yeah.
I still needs to be that. AI is right here, and we just need to put legs to cut teeth, whatever those sexy gams would look like that are just squaring
Whatever
off
that
teeth.
means. Yeah.
Yeah, so gold teeth, actually, that we could find later. This is probably the time to bring up.
We did dodge the question, though. That
Yeah.
would you humanely
Oh,
eat human
100%.
flesh?
I would
Yeah.
totally, I mean, out of curiosity, and I definitely think it would taste like chicken, obviously. That's what even though it's not white meat.
I think pork.
Pork, probably, is
Yeah.
a porky.
Long pork, isn't that the thing?
Yeah. I mean, after reading the Donner Party, they didn't seem too excited, but
I
there's
looked at
always
them
that
just like,
one that's kind of
why
like,
are you guys doing this?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. So, well, that's the most important thing. I'd love to see the comments. Who would eat human meat? Whatever it is. Don't figure out what makes it humane. Remember, guys,
that does get down a
that is the
weird,
wrong
logical-
thing to think
yeah.
about, right? Because that's not something I want to think about. But
Yeah.
and especially now things have happened, the Epstein files, I'm like, this is a much worse question to
Oh
ask.
no, I forgot about that.
Like,
Oh,
I just
no.
ruined it. I ruined all of it. But yes, in a humane way, I hope many of us would at least try. But I guess maybe you're afraid if you like it. What would happen if you like it? I don't know.
That could be a problem.
It could be. It could be. There's only one way to find out. Well, that so anyway, but I will say the concept of that was just weird questions. So that segment never took legs and never cut teeth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was going to be 5 questions, 5 random questions was the whole focus.
Bailed after the first one. Yeah.
Yep.
Started off hot.
You know, it's an important lesson, guys. It's good to try new ideas, but don't hold on to a bad one when you know it's
Dude,
bad.
saying, like, hey, we're still seeing if the split test is going to work. It's
Yep.
like, that's not working.
Yes.
Yeah, like, objectively,
Yeah.
that's bad. Yeah.
You know, it's okay to kill your ugly babies. I really shouldn't have used that phrase, but shoot the ugly dogs, I'm not sure. There's got to be something better in there for that phrase. What would you use to say, like, getting rid of the bad stuff that when you know it's bad? What's a fun phrase for that?
Kill the split test? I don't know. Yeah. Let's get
Yeah.
back to marketing.
I guess punch the ugly baby. We'll say that. You know, we'll use that one. Dana White recently talked about beating up babies, so we could use baby abuse in metaphors. It's okay. It's okay now.
I was curious on I was looking at some of the last podcasts we've done recently. It's like, we're pretty down. It's kind of depressing, right? It's like, I was like,
We need more fun. I was actually thinking that recently. I was like, I
Yeah.
have not been jokey enough. I need to just be a bit more silly lately.
I was curious, like, what are you optimistic about moving forward? Yeah.
Oh, a lot.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, no, and truly, like, now some of this optimism is predicated on misery. So I will tell you, like, what I mean is, like, it's optimistic, but there's also like a sense of like that's predicated on a certain level of pain. I think sometimes optimism is an exchange of pain for somebody else, oftentimes, but that's neither here nor there. But no, there's some things I'm actually really, really excited about. One, I've been invigorated and really excited about what I've seen is I think for as long as I've been in this industry, I think you've heard this before. One of the biggest white whales that we are all chasing, you know, we all say our name is Ishmael, is we are chasing this, but is the idea of e-com, like, and performance combining together. And where we talk about performance e-com and products, I'm also seeing it in like thought leaders and info-led brands in ways that I've never seen it before. Like TSLs and the levers and things that we've been doing that have considered the dark arts, or you can't say that to people. And oftentimes I've always had this belief that I think direct response is universal. It doesn't matter whether like it works no matter what. And even when we look at Mad Men and watch this stuff, they were selling the most high affinity brands and they were doing it through direct response. So is direct response really the problem, or is it just a function that oftentimes direct response sells a lot of bad products because it's so effective? How else could I sell something that's probably inferior? And so it's gotten a bad reputation,
That's true.
but it's still really, really powerful. And we're just seeing it right now. And I think it really, really excites me, paired with the fact that we're seeing a real fracture and a shift in traditional brands, as well as traditional leaders of thought and attention. So like Alex Hermosi, and we brought this up, I think the thing I was most excited about that, and I said it when we did that breakdown, was we're in a time where the celebrities of the future are being created right now. The brands of the future are going to happen in the next couple of years, and they're going to be brand new. We're never going to see them. They've never been seen before.
And do you think it's because of AI largely, or do you think there's something else at play?
I think it's because of a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I think we are experiencing the growth of a generation that has been online and they only know online. So the way they think is entirely
And we're
different.
forced entirely online through COVID and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, so many like their brains aren't even structured the same way that our brains are. Because you and I mean,
well,
you
no
probably
one's
still-
structured your way. So
but like I'm an elder millennial, but like the millennial generation, we are the transition, right? Like we straddle both sides of this world.
dial up.
Yeah. We still remember sharing the one PC in the house, and like you know, your mom would yell at you to get off because you know grandma wanted to
What a
call.
shared experience that is, right?
Yeah, and so it's these things, but like the next generation, that's such a foreign concept. It means nothing to them. Like even the idea that my kids, they are not the idea of setting your day based on a TV schedule. Like I know it
Right,
sounds crazy. I knew when I had to leave to walk to school because Pokemon finished. Like the end of the morning Pokemon's like, that's the time that I have to leave.
And I was sad. I had Arthur. That was fun.
So I never got into Arthur. I was not a PBS kid.
we just had an antenna, so we didn't have the cool channels. So I had
It-
PBS.
It
and
was,
that it.
on the network channels, though. I believe
yes.
it was on Fox. So
Arthur was on Fox.
not Fox. Sorry, Pokemon.
Oh, gotcha.
They had cartoons in the morning, one of the network channels. But in general, like that was one of I set my day, and it's funny because I had to learn the hard way that kids have no concept of leaving something and coming back to it, even though it's readily available all the time. But because everything's built to binge right then and there. And so like these weird concepts of the way they behave, the way they think about the world, the way they think about celebrities. Celebrities also more accessible to them than it ever was for us, right? These felt like people that were, I don't even know how it would happen. My journey was just some crazy story. And now it's not. Like celebrity is so micro oriented, and every single kid feels like it is 100% attainable to them. They don't want to become president, but they definitely want to become a version of Jake Paul or whatever the other equivalent would be, you know, out there of these internet celebrities, you know, that Mr. Beast feels like where their path is going. And that's just so different, right? And the way they take data in. And so when you have this huge cultural shift, it's an entirely cultural shift in human behavior, and traditional media is just failing. It is falling apart. And I would tell you, I believe every traditional institution, I don't know if I said this on this podcast, but I definitely said it before. One of the biggest things we saw with the change of this last administration was it was a full exposure that every single major institution that was tied with this trifecta of big media, big government, and big business, like two of those things have materially shifted entirely.
Yeah.
What even big business as well with the advent of AI, all these things are fracturing and falling. And it happens slowly, right? Big ships don't just crash really suddenly. It takes a long time. Even the Titanic, I think, took quite a while to fully sink. When you study that, it doesn't happen fast, but we're seeing that. And through those fractures, through those breaks, are opportunities for new brands, new voices, and new businesses to rise up and say something and do something. And that's just thrilling to me, particularly when you could see that all these marketers we talk to, they have an opportunity to be that person, to be that driver, because they know the language better than anybody else out there. brand marketers have been just dying out there doing their brand stuff. I should say this, I've always hated brand marketing. I shouldn't hate it so much, but it's one of the reasons I went to accounting, because I hated brand marketing. I didn't like that it was so soft and there was no attribution. I still, to this day, it's the thing I hate the most about it. And I don't think it needs to exist in that way anymore. Attribution's getting so much better. We are living in this world where I could talk to who I want to talk to with a message I want, with a product they need. And direct response is the most valuable tool to get them there. And so pairing that up with influencers and high quality brands and professionals and being these new voices, these new people that are going to drive the future of medicine, the future of business, the future of investing, entertainment, all of it. Is super exciting. And I think that's something we should all be excited about. Honestly, if you're feeling depressed, like, don't go find somebody that's that voice and supercharge them, because you probably have exactly what they will never have, which is the language of desire and conversion. And that's exactly what they need to go make a crap ton of money and you to make a ton of impact.
Right. Because that human psychology hasn't changed.
Yeah, it hasn't. Dude, I know I've been now, like, my new thing to even learn humanity at a deeper level is studying Aboriginal cultures. If they were around before time existed, I think we should pay a lot of attention to the way they operate.
Kyle goes to Australia once a couple of months ago, and he won't shut up about.
I won't. It's totally true. It's so annoying. I'm pretty sure I'm annoyed by it, but I can't stop seeing it, because if that is a society, dude, the dingoes, the fact that freaking dingoes. They invented the word dog, man's best friend, came from Aboriginal culture, and they migrated with them from freaking Pangea when it was connected, and then it broke apart, and they've stayed the same. That's insane. It's wild. Like, if there is an apocalypse where we all get wiped out by robots, the Aboriginals will not. They will still live there. New aliens are going to come in. They're like, what are these people? And they'll probably hate them then too, just like we did. But it's just fascinating to me. So yes, it is. I will probably never shut up about it, but at least for another couple of years. But anyway, so I like truly, and you could hear it in my voice. Like, I get excited. Like, and to be fair, it's part of the reason with this new position I got so excited. It gives me more control and ability to find that exact avatar and hopefully empower them and scale them, because like, I really want to be a part of the wave of the new voices. And I hope I get that opportunity. I'm going to go work hard for it. But I hope other people think the same thing and could come along and go make that journey, because it's happening whether we want it to or not. So we might as well be a part of it.
Well, great segue there. As we wrap this up, where can people, well, first I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure being able to start this podcast with you and launch it and do it with you for so many years and so many episodes, things like that. I've learned so much from you over the years, and your energy is infectious. And I'm always like, I want to be more like Kyle in some ways, a lot less like him in a lot of other ways. But
I get that.
But no, it's been a lot of fun doing this with you. And so I just want to thank you for your time here and just being able to share that energy and that insight and that way of thinking with me. Yeah.
Well, before I do that, I'm going to take a moment, and I appreciate you saying nice things about me, but I want to take a moment to say some really nice things about you, because not only being able to do this episode, these podcasts with you, but being able to work with you, because I don't think a lot of people get an opportunity to know about you in terms of, I think, the things that you show to the world. I know you're really protective of your family in terms of the time and even the exposure. And I've learned more about being, I think, a great father and a great partner and just somebody that keeps their life centered in a way that I don't want to say envy, but it inspires me. You've inspired me more than anyone that I've worked with at ClickBank. And it isn't necessarily not only in the work that you do, like the way you think about things from a competitive standpoint, breaking it down to numbers, I've always thought is really, really impressive and I loved. But that's so secondary to who you are as a person. Truly, man, you're so sensitive and so kind and caring and just one of the best humans I've met. And I just appreciate to be able to have this time, because I think there's a lot of people in here that think a lot about money and this and that and impact, but dude, you're just a really, really great guy. And I've never seen you very rarely talk ill of anyone. And your commitment to your girls and your wife is so freaking amazing. It's just amazing. And I'm so grateful to know you as a person and be able to do this and, sweat over spicy food and have a good time. But most importantly, because I truly believe you've helped me feel like I've been able to become a better father and partner just by watching you. And it's really, really impressive. And it's not just your immediate family, it's your family beyond that. And I didn't necessarily have that relationship with my family that you had growing up, but damn if I hope that my kids could have that with me. And, if my sons could be like you one day and be the father that you are, like, I'll have done something right in this world. So just thank you for giving me that inspiration. And Dylan, also thank you for dealing with all my craziness and all the quacks. And he's the one that probably thinks more about the downside of Kyle than anybody. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, man. I'm just going to miss so much working with you. I'm glad I still get to be around and hope that I'm not a stranger. But regardless, your impact on my life will echo for hopefully generations. And just thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. That's very helpful.
Oh, yeah, and where I'm going, I should say that too. Sorry.
I was going to say, as we segue, we always like to give our guests a chance to definitely plug themselves where they're going. So,
yeah. So I'm going to.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm going to Triton Growth as a part of their team, and so if you look up just Triton Growth, we deal with high ticket media buying. So specifically, if you're doing anything at a book a call funnel or a large course launch, and the IM space, personal development, really anywhere, if you have price points that are $2,000 to $10,000 and above. You're not going to find a better place to get paid acquisition than with us. And I would actually say even a shout out, if anyone's in the financial realm, that is the area I am super excited about in this upcoming year. If you have investment products, as we talked about in my last rant, I think it is a place to focus on. Talk to me, because the team that we have is going to scale and make a larger impact and allow you to accelerate your impact better than anyone else will. So please follow me. I'll be around events and look forward to, who knows, maybe being a guest in the future, but definitely seeing you guys and hopefully even helping some of your clients really, really grow pretty substantially.
Nice. And where's the best place for people to reach out to you?
You can use Kyle at tritongrowth.com. You could also attempt to message me on Facebook, and I occasionally do check that. I put occasionally pretty loosely there, and then if you really would like me to ignore you for quite a time, but eventually get to you, there is LinkedIn as well.
Great. Great team over there. I'd love to go to an Arsenal game if you're ever doing that with Bilal. So
you might. We already have plenty. We're going to crush our goals this year and celebrate the World Cup games. So
there you go.
Trust me.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the Australia-Seattle tickets to not, or the Australia-US tickets in Seattle to not be ridiculous. They've sold none of them, so I know they're going to go down. Like, it is a ton of availability.
The lottery system for that has gotten real weird.
Yeah. So, but instead of having to sell one of my children, which is why I had 4, just for leverage at one point in time, to go see it. Yeah, we're going to get some World Cup games for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kyle. Thank you to the listeners. I know they will miss your presence here on the podcast. Please let us know in the comments what your favorite Kyle-ism has been, what you're going to miss most about him on here, and do reach out to him, let him know how you're going to miss him, find him in all those places where you'll probably see messages 4 days later, but he will find them eventually. And please rate, review, subscribe, do all those fun things that help the algorithm and help us reach more people who can help, so we can help you grow your business. And I guess you usually kick it to me, but do you want to end it off with?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say, I can never take your lines. So I hope you guys have legs out there that can cut some teeth. And bye.
Happy skating.